The sky did not crack open with thunder. There was no warning, no trumpet blast, no voice echoing across the heavens. It began quietly, on a night like any other. The stars shimmered over the ancient world, untouched by the noise and light of modern civilization. Humanity was still young, tribes scattered across valleys and deserts, living by instinct, fear, and survival. They looked up at the stars with wonder, never imagining that something was already looking back, watching, waiting, and then they descended. At first, it was mistaken for falling stars, bright streaks tearing across the darkness. But these lights did not vanish. They grew larger, slower, deliberate. The air itself seemed to tremble as they approached, as though the world knew something unnatural was about to take place. When they landed, the earth shook. They came in forms that resembled men, but only at a glance. Their presence carried a weight, something ancient and overwhelming. Their eyes glowed with a strange intensity, reflecting knowledge no human had ever possessed. These were not messengers. They were not saviors. They were the fallen, angels who had abandoned their place in the heavens, and they had come for humanity. At first, humans feared them. Entire villages fled at the sight of these towering beings. But the fallen angels did not come with violence, not immediately. They came with gifts, knowledge, forbidden knowledge. They taught early humans how to forge metal from stone, how to shape weapons stronger than anything seen before. They revealed secrets of the stars, of mathematics, of the hidden patterns within nature. Fire was no longer just a tool, it became power. And power changes everything. Men who once hunted with crude tools now wielded blades that could cut through bone like air. Tribes that once coexisted began to dominate one another. The balance of nature started to shift. But the angels offered more than knowledge. They offered themselves. The stories say that the fallen angels became fascinated with human women. Not just their appearance, but their mortality, their fleeting existence. To beings who had lived beyond time, humans were something new, something intoxicating, and so they broke the ultimate boundary. They took human wives. What followed was something the world had never seen. Children were born, but they were not fully human. They grew faster, stronger, larger. By the time they reached maturity, they towered over ordinary men. Their strength was unmatched, their presence terrifying. These were the Nephilim, giants, but not just in size. They were beings of chaos. The Nephilim did not live like humans. They conquered. Villages fell beneath their strength. Entire regions were dominated by these hybrid beings. They demanded tribute, loyalty, and obedience. Some humans worshipped them as gods. Others feared them as demons. And in truth, they were neither. They were something far worse, because they had no balance, no limits, no understanding of restraint. The knowledge of the angels, combined with the instincts of man, created something unstable. The Nephilim consumed resources at an alarming rate. Crops failed, animals disappeared. The earth itself seemed to weaken under their presence. Violence spread like wildfire. Brother turned against brother, tribe against tribe. Humanity was no longer growing, it was collapsing. They were bound, and above it all the fallen angels watched, some with pride, others with regret, because even they had not fully understood the consequences of their actions. What they had created could not be controlled. Legends say that the heavens themselves could no longer remain silent. The balance of creation was broken. The corruption had spread too far. And so a decision was made, not by humans, but by something far greater. Before the end came for the earth, judgment first came for the fallen angels. The same heavens they had abandoned now turned against them. Ancient accounts speak of powerful heavenly enforcers descending, not to teach, but to punish. The fallen were seized, overpowered by a force greater than themselves. Their strength, once unmatched among humans, was nothing compared to the authority that now stood against them, stripped of their freedom, cast into darkness, imprisoned, unable to walk among humanity again, unable to interfere, unable to continue what they had started. Their rebellion had reached its end, and their punishment was final. But the Nephilim, the giants who ruled the earth, They could not be imprisoned. They had become too destructive, too widespread, too far gone. They had to be erased. The sky darkened, not with night, but with something heavier, a presence. Thunder roared across the earth for days without stopping. Storms unlike any before began to form. The oceans grew restless, rising higher than ever recorded. And then the rain began, not a gentle rainfall, a relentless, unstoppable flood. Water poured from the sky and burst from the ground. Rivers overflowed, mountains crumbled, and entire civilizations were swallowed whole. The Nephilim tried to resist. They climbed mountains. They fled across lands. They used all their strength. But strength meant nothing against the judgment that had been unleashed, one by one. They were overtaken. The giants who once dominated the earth were swallowed by the rising waters, their power erased beneath the flood. Their legacy ended in silence, but not entirely. Humanity was nearly erased alongside them. And humanity, a small number survived, those untouched by the corruption, those who had not fully embraced the chaos brought by the fallen. They endured through the destruction, becoming the foundation of a new beginning, a reset, a second chance. When the waters receded, the world was no longer the same. The fallen angels were gone, imprisoned beyond reach. The Nephilim were gone, destroyed, their dominance reduced to memory. And humanity stood alone once again. But here's where the story becomes even more unsettling, because traces of that ancient time may still exist across different cultures, from ancient Mesopotamia to Africa to the Americas. Stories of giants appear again and again. Massive bones have been discovered, dismissed by some, debated by others. Myths of powerful beings who once walked among humans refuse to disappear. Why? Because stories don't survive for thousands of years without reason. So the question remains, did the fallen angels truly vanish? Or are they still waiting, watching, bound but not forgotten? And what about humanity? Have we really learned from the past? Or are we slowly repeating it, chasing knowledge, power, and control without understanding the cost? Because if history has taught us anything, it's that some boundaries exist for a reason. And the last time they were broken, the world nearly ended. The sky is still there, silent, unchanged. But sometimes, if you look closely enough, you might wonder if something is still looking back. Like, comment, subscribe, and share so you don't miss out on our next video about the incredible story of Jacob, the man who wrestled with God.